Hey everybody, Patton here, welcome back to the channel. So there's a lot of mini systems out now. We started with the NES and SNES Classic, and then, we had the Neo Geo Mini. Just recently the Sega Genesis is coming out with their system, and now the TurboGrafx 16 is the last one to announce they're bringing out their own version of a Mini. But nobody's really touched the handheld market on an official Mini yet, and we may not actually see one. Nintendo announced they wouldn't be doing an N64 Mini, at least not for now. So the hopes of us getting a Game Boy Mini or anything like that are pretty slim. I did a little research. I wanted to find out which of these Game Boy clones would be the best representation of a Game Boy Mini. And there was a lot of factors there. There was the form factor, which, how it looks, and some of them beat others way out there. Some was playability. But what I was looking for is the overall feel of what a Game Boy Color Mini would feel like if we were to play it today. If Nintendo had actually put one out, which one of those Game Boy clones fits that description the best? And what I came up with, which may not be a surprise to most of you, was the Odroid Go. Just looking at this, you can tell this pretty much looks just like a Game Boy Color. And I have a lot of reasons why I think this is the closest we will get to a Game Boy Color Mini over the other ones that have been coming out more recently. So a little bit about the Odroid Go. It's not a powerful system. It was never meant to be something huge that can play all these games. It was created literally for Game Boy games, which means it doesn't need a lot of hardware. I think the processor is actually something like 80 megahertz to a maximum of 240 megahertz. But when you're only playing Game Boy or Game Boy Color games, that is more than enough. Also, the Odroid Go is a do-it-yourself project. You get to put it together. That kind of puts a different feel on the whole thing. You have a sense of accomplishment creating your own Game Boy. And this isn't the first time that Odroid has done this. I have the OGST case, which is a do-it-yourself. I had to put this together. This looks very much like an N64. Now, I won't go through showing you exactly how to put it together. It's actually really simple. I think it took me maybe 15-20 minutes max to put this together before I was actually playing it. So I wanted to actually sit down with this for a little bit before I made a video about it. So I've had this for about a week now, maybe a little bit more than a week. I actually contacted Ameridroid to see if they would send me one of these for a video, and they were more than happy to cooperate, and they actually gave me some discount codes for their website for you guys to check out, and I'll put those in the description. I'll have these a little bit later in the video. I've been playing with this for about a week, maybe week and a half most, and It is the closest thing to a Game Boy Color that you will find today. And the main selling point for this thing, you can get one of these for less than $35. For a mini system, that is insane. Less than $35 for your own Game Boy Color. So I mentioned before, aesthetically, this looks insanely close to a Game Boy Color. You know, you have the battery showing right here, which wasn't what the original looked like. The speaker is on the opposite side, but the button layout, except for the start and select, the D-pad, which feels great, by the way. This D-pad is solid. I love this D-pad. The controls altogether feel great. All the buttons feel nice. The start and select buttons are a little soft, in my opinion, but the feel is there. This feels exactly like playing an original Game Boy Color. I haven't ran into any troubles playing Game Boy or Game Boy Color games on here. It comes with a built-in emulator actually for both Game Boy, Game Boy Color, NES, Game Gear, and ColecoVision, and Sega Master System. In my opinion, the Nintendo and the Game Gear emulators and anything else you put on this is just a bonus. I got this just because I wanted to play Game Boy Color games. So you may have noticed, because of how strong the processor is and the limited amount of buttons, what games you can actually play on this. Anything beyond Nintendo or the first generation of handhelds probably won't run on this. You can't run Super Nintendo, Genesis, anything like that. Basically what you have on here is what you can play. Alright guys, so let's get up close and personal. This is the Odroid Go. As you can see here, you have the D-pad for directions, the B and A buttons, select and start. Over here you have the menu and volume buttons. On the side is our power button. Over on the side you have the micro SD charging port. On the top you have the 10-pin I/O connector for you guys who like to tinker with this kind of stuff. And then on the back is the port where you're going to put your micro SD card. So I'm going to do my best to show you a little bit of gameplay with this. I'm going to tell you right now that this video will not do it justice. The screen is so clear and the volume's not going to come through, right, because I'm recording this from a microphone, but trust me, it's near perfect. So let's switch it on. So here's our main menu. Like I mentioned before, we have Nintendo, Game Boy Color, Sega Master System, I didn't mention that one, Game Gear, and ColecoVision. Everything that I tested on here worked fine. You can see on the top the volume indicator. If we hit the volume button, it'll go up to 3 and then mute. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 volume levels, and then you can mute the system. In the top right, you can see the battery indicator. Now, I've been playing this just about every day for almost a week, and this battery still has not run out yet. I really like this menu too. It kind of reminds me of Retropie, how you go through the menu when you're playing something on the Raspberry Pi or the Odroid XU4. So let me show you one of the Nintendo games first. So we're going to start with Adventure Island. We're going to hit A to load the game. You'll see it comes with its box art right there. If you have a save game on here already, you can hit start to restart the game, or you can push A to resume from your last save point. So I have it muted right now, but I'm going to hit the volume button and you're going to listen to the different levels. Again, this won't be an accurate representation of how the sound is, but you'll be able to see what I'm talking about with the volume control. But as for the gameplay itself, it plays perfectly. And you may not be able to see it on here, but there is screen tearing. It's kind of hard to tell. And honestly, if I wasn't looking for it, I probably wouldn't notice that it's there. No hiccups, the controls are tight. While you're in the game, if you hit the menu button, you'll see a little hourglass icon. That means it is creating a save state. If you were to hit the B button here, you'll be taken back to the main menu. If you hit B one more time, you'll be taken back to that save point in the last game you were playing. But let me show you what this system was made for. How about a Game Boy Color game? Of course, we're going to have to try Link's Awakening DX. And some Tetris on the original Game Boy. You can see here it's not entirely black and white. It does have kind of a yellowish green tone to it. But it is not like the DMG Game Boy where it was completely like gray and green. This is more of a, like I mentioned, a kind of a greenish tone. Let's try the Game Gear game as well, just so you can see how much an improvement this screen is over the original Game Gear. When you're in the game menu, pushing up and down will cycle through your games one by one. Left and right will do it screen by screen. I did have this funny thing where when you hit the select button, it'll scroll by letter, but it goes backwards. So here it's on the S's, then the R's. I don't know why it goes backwards, but that's also nice in case you have a large collection like I have on here. You can go through your games really quick. So there you go, that is the Odroid Go in action. It's got a very, very simple interface, you know, and it's got the capacity to play all your old Game Boy games, and it'll load them up with box art, a nice little touch. Plastic on here is not soft, it's very heavy duty. It doesn't feel like it's gonna break if I drop it. The micro SD card, like I showed you before, is out of the way. You don't even notice it's there while you're playing. And there are only a couple negative things I have to say about the Odroid Go. One is the volume button. You have 4 different volume settings. Instead of having like the wheel or the rocker, you have to push the button to select your setting. And even on the lowest setting, the noise is pretty loud. Not loud in the sense that it makes a lot of noise, but loud enough if you're playing next to somebody, you're gonna bother them. Which brings me to my next point. There is no headphone jack capabilities on here. There is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on here, which using the stock emulators doesn't have much use. It doesn't do anything with the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi, but it does have those capabilities on the hardware. There is a lot of third-party support for this. People have gotten a ton of things to run it. They have Atari 2600, 5800. They did get Wi-Fi working with some NES games. You can play them side by side with 2 Odroid Go's. I thought that was really cool. So even though Ameridroid sent this to me, this is not a sponsored video at all. I simply asked if they would send me one, and they did. And they were nice enough to give me discount codes for you guys. If you spend at least $50 on their website, you can use the code PattonSupporter5 to get $5 off of your order. Or if you spend at least $100 on their site, which is really easy to do, you can use the code PattonSupporter10 to get $10 off of your order. There are other systems out there, but they are way more money for what you're trying to get out of them. The less than $35 you will spend on the Odroid Go is more than worth it. It's such a good price, I can't even, so I can't say enough how happy I am with this. Huge thank you to Ameridroid for sending one to me for a review. Make sure you go to their site, it will be in my description along with the discount codes for you guys. Head over there, grab one of these, grab micro SD cards. They have everything on the site you need to get yourself going with the Odroid Go and their other products. I'm a huge proponent of their work. Like I showed you before, that N64 case, the XU4Q, which should be your go-to for any of your retro emulation stuff just because of the price on that too. I think that's only maybe $55, and that beats out any mini system out there right now, and the Raspberry Pi 3, and I'm pretty sure the Raspberry Pi 4 that just came out. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.